Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me once again for tea time. Today we have a little bit of fireside. It's a little bit cool and misty out there this morning. Fireside just sounded good. It's got that smokiness of the lap song in there. It's just so good. So good, guys. I hope you're joining me with your cup of tea, or maybe a cup of me, whatever you have. Today we're going to ask the question, have mirrorless cameras finally dethroned the DSLR king? Has it happened, guys? Has it happened? Well, kinda, sorta, but let's talk about it a little bit. So, KEH, I don't know if you know who they are, but really good guys. We've met them many times at many different shows, from Nevada all the way to New York, from WPPI to PPE and everything in between. What they do is every year they do like a year in review, and they give the data that they have come up with as far as their sales have gone. How about their trade-ins? What is doing better? They call it the tilt shift report. And I do like reading it because I think it's fascinating, because looking at the used market gives us an idea of where the new market is going, but about 2 years behind, maybe 3. So I do think that the information is fascinating. Now, the mirrorless market we know has grown considerably, not just a little bit, considerably. A lot of people have gotten onto the mirrorless bandwagon, especially when it comes to consumer and prosumer base level equipment. And why is that? Because they're kind of the up-and-comers that are possibly looking at turning into a professional one day, and they want to make sure that they have the equipment that will allow them to get there. And a lot of them are seeing the writing on the wall that mirrorless is the way to be, the where to go, this equipment to buy. And this has been kind of perpetuated in the market for many years, ever since Sony really took hold of the mirrorless full frame market, all right, with the Sony A7. Now, I took a look at that camera when it came out. We were in Manhattan. We were at the Javits Center. It was PPE and Photo Plus Expo, if you don't know what it is. The Sony A7 was such a hell of garbage. I can't even explain it to you. It was horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. There was like basically no lenses. They would hand it over to us, press, with a adapter on it and say, oh, use any of your Canon glass. Just snap it on there. And we did that. And the autofocus was so abysmal. The entire unit was just slow, lethargic, and just a hill of crap. Okay, but look where they've come, guys. Look where they've come. I remember when I saw it, I told Trevor Current, partner of mine that did the Digital Photography Cafe with me, where we used to travel the country covering these events. I'm like, this is the future. This is going to be where things are going, but it's going to take a little bit, and it did. But Sony has been just crunching at it and crunching at it. And I think the A7 III was a major turning point for them to bring in a lot of new blood. And that they did with that camera. But anyways, going back to the KEH information, what they did say was their top 10 best-selling cameras for an entire decade, basically for 2010 all the way up to 2019, has been DSLRs. That is where they've been making the majority of their money, is with DSLRs. So nothing is like odd here. We expect that to be the case because DSLRs from 2010 to 2019 were still major players when it comes to business sales and whatnot. We saw that Nikon was even selling more. A greater revenue was being made with their DSLRs over their mirrorless, even last year. So we know that DSLRs are still in the game, but we can see here through KEH's findings that they're, let's say, losing their luster, so to speak. And it's inevitable, guys. Mirrorless will take over DSLRs. The question is, has it happened already? The Sony E-mount has been their major pull as of late. A lot of people have been going into the Sony E-mount as a first interchangeable lens camera. Okay, Sony has done a really good job bringing in, like I said, new blood. Or even the people that are upgrading from DSLRs, from an older generation DSLR, into a mirrorless, a lot of people have been going Sony. Why? Because they've been around for the longest period of time, right? Like I said, that Sony A7, that is like 4, 5, 6 years old now. It's a while. Whereas Nikon and Canon have just gotten on the bandwagon. Are they hitting it really hard? Absolutely. But still, they're playing catch up, as we all know. Their catch up has been doing pretty well, especially I would say for Canon over Nikon. Canon released the R5 as well as the R6 that really did quite well, better than what I would expect it to do. I knew that they would do well with the R5 because it was going to be that revolutionary 5D Mark II, like they came out with way back in the day. So I knew they would do well, but I also said before it came out they were going to have overheating issues because there was no way to do 8K in that sealed body without overheating. And yes, they did, right? Lots of overheating, a lot of negative press. They probably didn't like it, but it kind of is what it is. They looked at it as a means to be out there and say, look what we can do. Canon does that a lot, all right? That's why, for me, I am not a Gen 1 beta tester for any company, okay? I'm not a fanboy, as you know. I shoot Canon for 20 years, but I shoot everything else in between. Why? Because I work on set. I work with a lot of different companies, and they use different equipment. We could be using a Red, or we could be using a Panasonic, like an EVA 1. We could be using whatever, a Canon C series, C500, C300, 2, whatever. So I'm pretty much agnostic. I use whatever there is specific for that job. But there's not one camera that works perfect for every job. And I'm sure a lot of you guys understand and know that. But anyways, some of the data that they showed, I'm going to pull up a screen so you can see it. What they indicated was that over the last 3 years, their revenue for DSLR bodies have shrunk by 6%, whereas their revenue for mirrorless bodies grew 91%. And as you can see, yes, that is the case. But keep in mind, while DSLR revenue shrunk by 6%, that is a small amount to shrink considering the sky is falling that everyone has been saying about mirrorless to DSLRs, that DSLRs are basically dead. I will say that they're not dead yet, and we'll see by some more information here that KEH provides. Now, another chart that they provide here talk about lenses, and we know that following the lenses is always the way to go. Lenses are the backbone to any camera system. It doesn't matter what it is. And if a camera manufacturer does not have the proper lenses or the lenses that we need for that specific system, professionals especially will not go and purchase or go into that brand. Okay, perfect example is if you want a mirrorless system and you shoot a lot of architecture and you need to be able to get your images right in camera using a tilt shift lens, well, there's not too many companies that have a tilt shift lens that are native to a manufacturer. Whereas just recently we heard that Canon was coming out with a RF lens that will be a tilt shift. So those are the little things that we always have to look at. Also, Canon was talking about a 1200 millimeter RF lens. That is long, guys. That is just screaming sport, action, wildlife, right? So this is what ends up happening. The lenses are very, very important. And according to this chart, we can see that DSLR lenses during 2018 through 2020 increased in revenue, increased in sales by 12%, whereas mirrorless lenses nearly doubled at 87%. Now, is that expected? Absolutely. What I would think that isn't expected is that DSLRs even increased in sales. With the sky is falling and DSLRs are dying, you would see that DSLR lens sales would go down. But that is absolutely not the case. They're still increasing year over year. We can see a massive increase when it comes to mirrorless, obviously, because there's a lot more mirrorless cameras out there, right? So keep that in mind. So why is that? What they said was DSLR lenses still make up a large bulk of their revenue in comparison to mirrorless. That's just it. Now, we think about it. Why is that? Well, the reason that is because the manufacturers were smart. What does that mean? Well, a lot of them would give you adapters to use your old glass. Right? Smart. Very smart. That doesn't just cut off their series of glass that they've been working on for the last 50 years. You can still adapt those lenses to your new camera bodies, your mirrorless camera bodies. So smart. That was the way you do it. That just makes sense. You wouldn't want to just throw out the baby with the bathwater. You want them to continue to use those old lenses, and that's how you do it. You give them those adapters for free, or you make them extremely, extremely cheap. And those adapters have to work almost as good as using native lenses, right? It is very, very important, and they have done it. So I think that for the foreseeable future, we're going to see these companies like KEH that buy, sell, and trade camera gear continue to make the bulk of their money on DSLR lenses, because DSLR lenses, like I said, have been around forever. And there's millions, tens of millions of units on the planet that will be bought and sold. In comparison to mirrorless lenses that we see, like an RF or a Z mount, and you're just not getting that many. Why? Because they've only been around for a couple of years. Okay, so it makes sense. It absolutely makes sense. Now, one other chart that I saw here that I found was really fascinating. It illustrates how it's not always about how many, but it's how much or how expensive. How much does it cost per unit? And what they were saying is that the increase in revenue is not specifically due to the number of mirrorless sold, but the amount that those mirrorless cameras cost. What does that mean? Basically, what they were saying is mirrorless cameras have an average price that's higher by about 78% over DSLRs. So people are reselling the mirrorless cameras at a 78% higher sticker price. So that's where we can see a lot of that increase. And this chart shows it from 2018 to 2020 and how that price has continuously went up when it comes to mirrorless. Now, what KEH also said was they see that the manufacturers are doubling down on higher end pro and prosumer gear. Now, I talked to you about this about maybe 4 or 5 videos ago, how Nikon is basically doing away with a lot of consumer stuff and going more prosumer and pro gear. Why? Because that's where they're making the majority of their money. I think Canon will probably do the same. They'll slow down a little bit on creating their entry-level stuff. Why? Once again, it has to do with revenue. Where are they making their money? And what they indicated here, KEH said, was they have a feeling it has to do with smartphones eating into that entry-level consumer market. And I've heard that somewhere before. Right? I talked to you guys about this a lot, and I do think that it is absolutely 100% the case. This was why I keep on saying I do think that Micro Four Thirds will eventually go away, because they're being eaten away slowly by these smartphones. People are looking at them, they're like, well, do I want to have this in my pocket, even though it's lightweight and small, or should I just get like an iPhone 86? That has 17 lenses on the back and one telephoto that pops out like 6 inches. Well, they're probably going to get that iPhone 86, all right? It just makes sense. Just have one thing in your pocket instead of multiple things. So I do think that the market is going to slowly consolidate. And this is one of the reasons why I don't understand why Pentax haven't went into the mirrorless market at all and stuck with DSLRs. It's kind of like Kodak. when they're like, no, film is going to be around forever. This whole digital thing is just a bunch of hogwash. We're not going to go down there. We're not going to do that. And what happened to Kodak? Right? You need to be able to shuck and jive as a company. All right? This is one of the reasons why I said that Olympus was going to go belly up when they came up with their $3,000 Micro Four Thirds camera. I said, this is like their last hurrah. This is the nail in the coffin. They're not going to last 6 more months. And literally about 7 months after I said that, or 5 months after I said that, they sold. JIP took them over and then created a new company. Now it's OM Digital Solutions. The end of it. I hope they pull out, but this is the kind of stuff that happens. You can't get stuck in the mud, all right? You can't. You have to constantly shuck and jive. And I think Nikon and Canon were extremely late to the party when it comes to mirrorless. They should have got on this a couple of years prior, but they didn't. So now they're working hard at playing catch up to Sony. And Sony has just been eating their lunch for so long, and I do believe that the A7 III was probably that deciding factor. I said it at the time. I was recommending it to people even though I shoot Canon. People are like, why in the hell are you recommending a Sony A7 III? Because it's just a damn good camera. And you know I'm agnostic. I'm not a fanboy. I don't care. Whatever I see that I believe to be the best, I'm going to tell you, and then I'm going to give you reasons why, so then that you could decide. I never tell anyone what to do, what to buy, what to think. I just give you my thoughts. We have this commentary that you hear from me, and then we have a discussion in the comment area. And we decide what is the best way to go. So with all of this information, all this charts and all of this nonsense, what does it all mean? How do we boil it down? Okay. We do see that DSLRs are slowly going to go away. All right. But what we do see also is that they're not going away today, tomorrow, or next year. And all of this nonsense about DSLRs are dead is just crap. They're not. And they're not going anywhere for the next year or two, or in the next 2, possibly 3. All right. They're going to be around for a while, especially when it comes to lenses. They're going to be bought and sold because of those adapters. There's not much that you can't do with a DSLR that you can do with a mirrorless camera. It just doesn't have a mirror, people. It has an EVF instead of an OVF. That's it. What does it mean if you don't know? The OVF, you're looking at the world as it is through the lens, right? In EVF, you're looking at the world through an augmented reality, let's call it. What you see through the EVF is basically what the camera wants you to see. So if you put a LUT on, or if you're doing any kind of modifications to your f-stop, to your shutter speed, to your ISO, all of that is going to be depicted in your EVF. It's easy. It's cheating. Right? It's cheating. I love it. It is a fantastic tool for a newcomer, someone that doesn't understand how to adjust a camera. What does ISO do? How does it affect f-stop? How does f-stop affect shutter speed? And vice versa. How do they intermingle together? The Holy Trinity, right? So, anyways, in my personal opinion, we're not going to see these cameras go away as of yet, but they will slowly go away. So, keep a lookout on the mirrorless market, and if there's something that one of your manufacturers come up with that you really like, you might want to jump in there and take a look and pick one up. But remember, you're going to be paying a lot more, like KEH said. So guys, if you enjoy this content, throw it a big thumbs up. That would be very helpful. Click the little bell icon over here so when I go live, you'll be notified of it immediately. And when a new video comes out, you'll also be notified. In the comment area below, let's have this discussion. Let's hear your thoughts. I want to know what you think. Also, when we're done talking down here, head over to community.JCristina.com. Once again, community.JCristina.com. Hang out. Have conversations with other fellow creatives. We have tech heads, video, photo, everything going on over there. A lot of great people, no trolls at all, just like on this channel, which is really quite good. Also, if you want to help out the channel, Click the little join button right under here, and you could become a member, and then I can give you perks. You can help the channel, $1, $2, $5 a month, whatever you want, whatever you can afford. It would really be helpful and appreciated. Please do that. And also, head over to my website, JCristina.com, where you can find all the photography tools that I've invented for you and me over the years, and hopefully there's something there that you might like. And if there is, please pick it up and support me and my family. That would be awesome. And for sticking around till the end of this nonsense, use promo code YT20 at checkout. Once again, promo code YT20 at checkout. You're going to get 20% off everything in your shopping cart. Not one thing, everything. So that's it, guys. I'm out of here for yet another vlog. Many blessings to you and your family. Stay safe and stay healthy.